going anywhere or prison. The people that are going to go protest are the ones that are going to get busted.
I think
so remember, the guy at the top goes nowhere, and you are going to take the fall.
I think he will be in prison this time. I've been saying it for 2 years, but I really believe he's got 4 cases in 4 different jurisdictions, and a lot of them are paper trail cases. Do you know how easy paper trail cases are?
That's what's interesting to me, because I have no doubt he did this. And
Meanwhile,
Ellie, I have heard from others that this is essentially a sort of a crime that involves a paper trail.
Yeah.
And paperwork or paper trail crimes are very easy to prove. So you're saying it's going to be difficult, but wouldn't the bar be really low to prove that?
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Follow the trail?
I've heard that statement from, I think, a mutual friend of ours. It's easy to prove the paper crime if the person's name is on the paper. Here, the paper trail can show us exactly how this payment was made, exactly how Michael Cohen was reimbursed, and exactly how they booked it. But what I'd be shocked if the paperwork showed is a direct link to Donald Trump. If there's an email, a text, a memo where Donald Trump says, yes, guys, do it this way, or I'd like you to do it this way, that's a smoking gun. But short of that, the paperwork's an important part of the story, but just saying it's a paper case, there's a paper trail, doesn't necessarily get you to the core issue of the defendant or the potential defendant's criminal liability.
Just real quickly, there's...
All right, guys, so the big day is here, okay? The big day is here, the day that everybody's been waiting for ever since the news broke this weekend that President Trump expected to be arrested today, March 21st, Tuesday. He was expected to be put in handcuffs, okay? Something that the left has been waiting on since the man declared that he was running for president in the first place, right? They wanted to see Donald J. Trump in handcuffs, and Perp walked out of Mar-a-Lago. But unfortunately, they're not going to get the masturbation material yet, okay? As Trump has not been arrested, and I don't think he's going to get arrested. Maybe he will. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But allegedly, he could be arrested next week, right? He could appear in court next week, and he will be indicted tomorrow, according to the Daily Mail, okay? So apparently the grand jury, which met today and heard arguments from Trump's side, people in support of the president, heard arguments from them. They're expected to make a decision about whether or not to indict Trump tomorrow, in which, if they move forward with it, then formal charges will be brought against Trump. Formal felony charges against Trump that the Manhattan DA can then use to issue, I guess, extradition of Trump to New York, okay? He would be arrested and thrown in jail, right, for a little bit, at least until he gets bailed out. So, you know, this didn't happen, okay? But what the mainstream liberal media tried to make happen as much as they could is violence, right? They tried to make violence happen because they want so desperately to see Trump supporters riot in hopes of getting another January 6th like situation to happen, okay? They went as far as to even stage a bomb threat against the New York City courthouse that allegedly came from Trump supporters. Take a look.
Well, a Manhattan grand jury could decide whether to indict former President Donald Trump as early as tomorrow, and the anticipation surrounding that decision has hit a fever pitch. Trump had claimed an arrest would come today, but there's no evidence that that is going to happen. If it does happen, Trump will become the first former president to face criminal charges. Demonstrators from both sides of the aisle gathered outside the courthouse in Lower Manhattan and at Trump Tower today in Midtown. Intelligence bulletins obtained by ABC News warn of a significant increase in threats and general violent rhetoric. Security in and around the city has been beefed up significantly as we await word on a possible indictment. Eyewitness News reporter Shantae Lands is live in Seaford, where Trump supporters have been protesting for much of the day. Shantae.
Well, as they're actually about to take off now, they gathered here. They started gathering around 3 o'clock this afternoon, but they will be protesting over the next few hours. You can see a caravan of protesters behind me here at Seaford train station. Now, if former President Donald Trump is indicted, he would be the first in history to be charged with a crime. Protesters rev their engines ahead of a caravan in support of Donald Trump. This after former President Donald Trump called on his supporters to protest if he's indicted by a grand jury and the Manhattan District Attorney's criminal investigation looking into whether Trump used campaign money to pay off porn star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 presidential election.
I think that everything that they're doing to Donald Trump is just a deploy to try to get him not to run again, which is not going to work.
About 15 people showed up at court this morning. Trump's calls for protests prompted intelligence bulletins warning of a significant increase in threats and violent rhetoric, saying some Trump supporters are still willing to fight on his behalf. Attorney Bob Costello testifying before the grand jury yesterday in defense of Donald Trump.
The only thing I'm doing is trying to tell the truth to the grand jurors. If they want to go after Donald Trump and they have solid evidence, so be it. But Michael Cohen is far from solid evidence.
Michael Cohen, Trump's former fixer, also testifying last week about the $130,000 check he wrote to Daniels a month before the election. He says at Trump's direction, later serving time in federal prison in part for that payment. Legal experts say that payment might have violated campaign finance laws. Trump's legal team saying he paid Daniels to protect his family. Meanwhile, Republicans, including Trump's potential 2024 presidential contender, Ron DeSantis, calling Trump's possible indictment purely political, blasting Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg.
They weaponize their office to impose a political agenda on society.
Yeah, and this investigation is one of several into former President Donald Trump. One is a mishandling of classified documents. The other is into possible obstruction of justice. You can see them here. The remainder of them pulling off. Police are not far behind. They were here meeting with the group earlier, and they will be here throughout the protests.
All right, I'm going to tell you guys how you know this is all BS, right? This is all just mainstream liberal media trying to hype this up, because the only thing you see is that New York City braces for protests. They brace for, violence, okay, bomb threats that, again, if you want to know who's making the threats, just call the feds, right? Ask them, okay, because this is definitely a Fed operation going on right now, 100%, no doubt in my mind, okay, or at least the mainstream media, liberal media, and how they're trying to play it up. They're trying to orchestrate a January 6th, okay? I'm pretty sure they're experts in that, right? The powers that be. They're probably experts at orchestrating this stuff. But this is how you know it's BS, okay? If you listen to what they just said on the news, right? They said only 15 people showed up outside the courthouse. And when they showed you footage of the people who showed up outside of the courthouse, they were all anti-Trump people, right? They were all anti-Trump people. Well, why is that, right? If there was this big threat of violence, wouldn't you think that there would be so much footage of Trump supporters like basically taking over Manhattan, right? Or downtown Manhattan, wherever they have that courthouse, right? Wouldn't you think that they would have that footage? That's the footage they would be showing. They would be showing violent Trump supporters outside of the courthouse. However, they're not really showing that footage because nobody's there, right? Nobody's there. In fact, I saw that there was a rally by the New York Young Republicans Club, and basically there were more journalists there than actual protesters, right, on behalf of Trump. Okay, in order for them to get actual real footage of a protest, they had to go outside the city, right? I mean, again, it's just so hilarious to watch the mainstream liberal media try their best to make this out to be, again, a possible January 6th like situation, because they're desperate. They're desperate. They're desperate to prove the narrative that these people are a threat to this country. When nobody in their right minds is stupid enough. I'm going to be so serious. Like, I think most people in this country saw what happened on January 6th. They saw the result of what happened on January 6th. And even if you were peaceful, right? Even if you're peacefully protesting as a Trump supporter, there's a chance that the Democrats, the state, okay, the government can come after you, right? The feds are going to come after you, okay? I think people have saw, okay, like, nah, we going to sit this out, right? But again, that tells you exactly what this is. This is a psyop, right? This is just the establishment, the powers that be, the Democrats trying to get Trump supporters to take the bait, right? Oh, we're going to arrest Trump. We're going to arrest Trump. We don't know when, right? But just know he's going to be arrested, right? And there's all these rumors about how they're coordinating with the Secret Service. And I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but they've been saying it's going to happen for a long time now. Again, I could be wrong, okay? They could arrest him. But even the arrest in and of itself, considering the charges here, right, and what they're going after him for, right, again, that is a part of the psyop. It's a part of a larger operation to get Trump supporters to act violently, and then they can look at that and say, look, these people are violent. This president, this guy presents a threat of violence. That's all it is, because they know they're not actually going to get him if they actually, take him to court. He's not going to be found guilty, okay? I mean, they're not going anywhere with this. This is a psyop from the Democrat Party. This is basically bait, okay? That's what it is. It's bait. It's an ambush. It's a Fed operation. They're simply trying to get Trump supporters to act violently. Because, hey, it's been hard to get any footage of Trump supporters acting violently, right? It's really hard. You guys know how hard it is, okay? This is why I say January 6th, again, for what it was, and the imagery that we got from it, again, terrible day, okay, for the movement because of the fact that Democrats are going to use this, okay? But before January 6th, where was all the footage of the violent Trump supporters, right? Where was all that? They had none. This is why they praised January 6th as a holiday, because they're like, we finally got footage of Trump supporters committing acts of violence. After January 6th, what have they gotten? They got nothing, right? This is why they're so desperate. The January 6th stuff is wearing off. Tucker Carlson exposed it, right? Oh, they're locking up innocent people who were peacefully protesting, by definition, led into the Capitol and given a tour. Locked up in prison, right? Locking them up. So they're like, you know what? We got to orchestrate another one, right? We got to make another one happen to prove that January 6th was not a fluke, right? That's who these people are, okay? Trump represents a threat of violence. And unfortunately, I don't think people are falling for it. I don't think people are going to fall for it. Even if Trump is arrested, I don't think you're going to see people get real violent over it, because we already know what that leads to. The only people that can be violent in this country, that can violently protest and get away with it, is BLM, Antifa, the Roe v. Wade riders, a.k.a. the woke revolutionaries. These are the only people that can get away with it, okay? Unfortunately, Trump supporters, people on the right, conservatives, don't have First Amendment rights, okay? They've effectively stripped our First Amendment rights away, again, evidenced by what you saw happen on January 6th, them locking up people who were peacefully protesting, okay, who did not commit acts of violence. They got a tour of the Capitol, or they just walked into the Capitol and they were, put behind a cage, right? And this is why Republicans can't keep going easy on these Democrats. This is why Ron DeSantis, the answer that he gave in response to Trump possibly being arrested, is being criticized so much, because on his face, there's nothing wrong with it. He went after the DA. He tried to distance himself from Soros. It's a politically safe answer, but right now, you don't need safe politics. We don't need soft politics, okay? We need people who are trying to really get in the trenches and fight dirty, because this is how the Democrats fight. 100% this is a political operation to smear Trump, okay, to try to guarantee he wins the Republican primary, and to smear him enough where he can't win a general, while also at the same time, again, trying to get Trump supporters to act violently. Ron DeSantis has to come out here and say, I'm using all my power as governor, which allegedly he has some power, right, to fight this, okay, to stop the arrest of Trump in the state of Florida. Like, we're not going to allow this extradition to occur, right? He should have came out and just made that statement and really stood in support of the president at that time, right? Because ultimately, in the day, these Democrats don't care, right? They don't care. They will use whatever means necessary, right? Including trying to arrest the former president to accumulate and maintain power, okay? That's what we're dealing with here, right? That is what we're dealing with. And you got to be smart in regards to how you deal with these people. And this is why the leadership has to step up, because, again, the people, because Democrats control the government, the people are screwed, man, right? The people are screwed. We don't have the right to peacefully protest. We don't have the First Amendment rights, okay? So this is why the politicians got to step up, and you can't be soft in a situation like this, because, again, you see the Democrats willing to lock you up. They'll throw you in jail, bro. They'll throw you in jail for opposing them, right? They don't care. They don't care. So, again, my opinion, Trump could be arrested. I will believe it when I see it. I personally think that this is an operation here that's being ran on, conservatives to try to get us to take debate and to act violently in response to Trump being arrested. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.